It's hard sometimes to keep up with all of the new movies coming out of Hollywood nowadays. Not because there's too many to go see, but rather the fact that we know most of them are just going to suck. And most people are so apathetic at this point that they don't even realize a new release is out. It's even worse if that movie is a part of a trilogy or even a universe. I mean, let's be honest, how many of you know which movies and TV shows have come out in the MonsterVerse? Did you know that when I say MonsterVerse, I'm referring to the Kong and Godzilla movies? Did you even know there's TV shows that have come out in between them that are a part of the MonsterVerse? Because I didn't. Hollywood has shot itself in the foot so many times that most people aren't interested in anything coming out of it these days. Not without exception, of course. I'm sure a lot of people are excited for the upcoming Deadpool 3, and if a movie gets enough good praise by word of mouth, then we've seen that it can turn the tide and give it surprisingly long legs at the box office. I mean, just look at the other Godzilla movie that's not really associated with the Warner Brothers MonsterVerse, Godzilla Minus One. It was a great movie which received very positive reviews by fans and made over 110 million bucks, despite only costing 12 million to make. But those really are exceptions to the rule, and most things in entertainment concerning film just suck nowadays. So, is the new Godzilla X Kong good? Is it worth checking out or spending money on? Well, guys, I'm going to give you my humble opinion, but before we get into that, if you're a fan of my content and would like to help support the channel, then please hit the like button and the subscribe button as well as the bell icon to be notified whenever my new videos drop. I try and post at least once a week, and I cover different forms of entertainment and pop culture. Half of my content covers anime stuff, which is generally very positive because anime's just awesome, and the other half of my content covers Western media, which is, well, let's just say I often have mixed feelings about. And every now and then I cover a little bit of gaming as well. Subscribing is free, and all you have to do is make a YouTube account, which is also free, and it goes a long way in helping me out. My goal is to get to 1,000 subs this year, and with your help, I think I can do it. So, with all of that out of the way, let's get into my review of Godzilla X Kong. What would you get if you put Transformers 1, Guardians of the Galaxy, Planet of the Apes, and Jurassic World all in one movie? You get this, Godzilla X Kong, a film with a budget of $135 million, and to be honest with you guys, it was meh. I mean, it's not a horrible movie, but it's not really that good either. I mean, where do I even start? There's a giant monkey with a metal fist that can inflict lightning damage fighting a giant purple Godzilla who spends a third of the movie killing half of the Earth's population while fighting monsters, but everyone seems to be okay with that, and they're fighting another giant monkey with a whip and a magical crystal at the end that can control an ice dragon that caused the first ice age, and he's controlling an army of giant monkeys in the land before time, and there's no gravity going on at one point, and everyone's teleporting through magical wormholes, and there's an ancient Chinese society who's related to the girl that's the key to everything. Everything's blowing up. Mothra shows up from an ancient prophecy. The earth explodes, and everyone lives happily ever after. Yeah, that's what this movie is. My eyes were constantly being assaulted by colors and sounds. It felt like a unicorn just threw up in my face. The thing is, though, is that the movie doesn't really take itself too seriously, and that definitely works in its favor. You could classify it as being 50% comedy and 50% action. The slow moments are, of course, with the humans, and it felt like a parody with how ridiculous some of the plot elements were, but it was all done just to give some kind of skeleton to the film so that we could have an excuse to see kaijus on screen fighting each other, which is fine, I guess. I mean, they made this movie with one goal and one goal only: to put giant monsters on the screen to fight each other in the most over the top battles you can think of. It doesn't really care about plot or character development, the story itself, continuity, nothing except kaiju battles. And that's why I'm a bit hesitant to say it's a bad movie. I mean, at the end of the day, there's nothing really wrong with any of that. If you have a kid and want to bring them to this, then they'll love it. There's nothing really too bad, except there is one part where there's the lower part of a dead body and some water with a little bit of blood, but that's about it. All the other blood and guts in the movie are from the monsters, and most of it's green anyway, which is fine. Of course, if you don't have any kids and just want to turn your brain off and watch a lot of giant CGI monsters bash each other to pieces, then you'll probably like this too. I was interested for most of it, although I was tuning out by the end a little bit. It has some pretty good music in different parts, which reminded me of the Guardians of the Galaxy films and the overall comedic tone of some of the scenes. Remember in the first Transformers movie where there's that white chick and the black dude who team up with the soldiers? She's super smart and he's completely useless, but is just taken along as the funny guy and freaks out at every single little thing in order to make us laugh, but nothing he does is really that funny at all. Yeah, this movie does the exact same thing. So we have to ask the question, is it woke? Unfortunately, that's a question we always have to ask when it comes to the things that come out of Hollywood, and depending on how woke it is, oftentimes determines how good it is, although that's not always the case. Well, it has more diversity than a bucket of Skittles and M&Ms. The only based and likable person in the whole film is a white guy who gets killed pretty early on by a plant, and the only other white dude is a tree-humping hippie. There's the plot point where there's a girl who is the key to everything, and she's also deaf, and they took this girl who used to be hot and made her look like a dude with the classic lesbian haircut. Gotta avert that male gaze after all, right? But in spite of all that crap, none of these things really ruined the movie for me, and honestly, if everything wasn't hyper-politicized nowadays, I wouldn't even bother bringing it up anyway. In other words, I never felt like the movie was trying to preach at me or shove some sort of agenda down my throat. It really did just feel like a fun monster movie filled with decent CGI and a lot of good action. But those are my overall thoughts on the film. But what do you guys think? Have you seen Godzilla X Kong yet? And if not, are you going to? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Thanks as always for watching, and have a great freaking day.